Welcome to the show, good people. Yes, indeed. Thank you for joining me today. This is the Current Conversation. And today we're going to do something a little different. Typically I have a guest that I invite on the show and then we talk about, whatever we're talking about. But what I found is that a lot of people are getting confused with what we're doing. And so I had folks say, is this my business? What is this thing about? And, it's getting confusing, I guess. So what I want to do today is a little something different. Um, I want to make it clear what the show is about. The show is about you, the viewer. It's about you, and it's about you, you know, being a part of the show, talking in the show, sharing your thoughts, sharing your ideas, your questions, your feedback. It's really just a platform for you to just get in and share and talk. And that's what it's all about. And so I don't want to make it about the guest. I don't want to get that confused that every week we're looking for that guest or whatever. The guest is just somebody to share conversation with me until you, the viewer, joins in and makes it a conversation. That's the key. The show is the current conversation. So that's what I want to do today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this right here in the comments really quickly. Today's show about you. Join. I want you to join the conversation. And I'm going to put the link here. And you can just click this link. All right. Click that link and join the conversation. As soon as you click that link that's sitting over here in the chat, it's going to allow you to get right onto this, right onto the show, right on your cell phone, your tablet, your PC, wherever you are. And we want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Today's topic is what's love got to do with it? Yeah, I know you've heard that old Tina Turner song. What's love got to do with it? And today we want to kind of, turn that on its side a little bit. We want to talk about some loves that you've had and maybe some loves that you lost or just, love in your relationship now where you currently are. Just period what that might look like. So we're going to discuss that today. I want to get the show started. So wherever you are, shout it out, Facebook chat, tweet it, whatever you got to do. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, the current conversation is about to begin. All right, folks, the show is started and we're going to get underway. Again, if you want to join in today, I just want you to click on that link that's in the chat there. And you click that, it's going to bring you right into the conversation. I want to hear your comments, your feedback, your questions, whatever that might be. So today's topic is what's love got to do with it? And really how I got that topic was I was driving in the car and I listen to the radio sometimes, but it's just kind of in the background, so I can think. That's my kind of peace time, my meditation time driving. And I just started thinking about things and I heard some interesting stuff on the radio. The guy was talking and he said, when you have a couple, a male and a female, and they decide, we should live together. He called it some other term. I can't remember what it is now, but they say, let's live together. Let's do that. Let's cohabitate, right? From the woman's perspective, she feels like it's a safe relationship. She feels like maybe this is, a long-term commitment. This is good enough for her. She feels safe. Is just about as good as, maybe if she was married. But for the guy, it's a lot different. He's not looking at it as, hey, we're living together, so this is a committed relationship. He's just like, she's here. So that's good. I have somebody, cooking meals and laying next to me at night, but it's not, he still in his mind thinks I'm still free. We can end this at any time, and so be it. Where the girl is like, this is my boo. We ain't going nowhere. And if that changed, she would be definitely, devastated or something. And so there's nothing to substitute, being to actually taking that step to saying the commitment that, hey, I'm married to you. We're going to be together for life. And that changes things for both the men and the women. Whereas the women, was kind of okay with the shacking up, living together. They still feel like, you know, there's that connection, there's that dedication, commitment, and the man doesn't. When that exchange of vows happens, then the woman changes her role to where she starts having expectations that she didn't have before. She was fine with the relationship before, but now it's like there was a degree that it didn't exist until the marriage happened. And then she says, "Wait, now you kind of owe me this." And the man is kind of more so, now he's reaching the level of commitment that the woman had before the marriage when they were just living together. So I just thought that was kind of, thought provoking when you think about those details. And so that's where I kind of got the topic. What's love got to do with it? Right. So, I want to kind of get some feedback from you guys about, what is it, some of the loves that you might have had in your life, some of the loves that you might have lost, and just talk about those experiences of how that might have affected you. Maybe it was a high school crush. Maybe it was, something in your teenage years. You can drop those comments in the questions. I'm over here, and you can drop those questions in the comments, or you can join us live right here on the show by clicking that link, jump in on your phone, your tablet, or whatever. I'm also doing something else too. I really kind of didn't do a lot of pushing this week's episode. I want to see, who is really watching just to be watching, like they want to watch the show. Are they watching because they know me and they're like, hey, we support you and we're going to watch the thing. I really want it to be more than just that community who says, yeah, we love you, we're going to support you. So I didn't really kind of push folks to say, hey, let's watch this week. I want to see who says this is something I look forward to and I want to watch it. Because I don't want to do anything that's not of value to anybody. It's no value to me. It's a lot of time and energy and things. So I want to make sure this is a value to you. So we're going to just keep it moving and see what happens here with the show. This is kind of an experiment today. I'm still trying to get the ground built for this thing. And it looks like we started off kind of rocky where folks got the wrong idea. And I just want to make sure that we know that this show is about you. It's about you sharing your information, sharing your questions, feedbacks, and so on and forth. But we're going to continue on with the show. And so our topic today is what's love's got to do with it. And so talking about what I was saying earlier about how women and men could live together and it means different things to them. In both of those scenarios, it doesn't really have anything to do with love. Like love isn't the factor that makes them live together or stay together or anything. A lot of times a lot of folks say, hey, life is easier when you have help, when you have somebody to help you, when you have somebody splitting bills, when you have somebody that can, go to the store while you're driving home, or somebody that can cook meals, or, whatever. It's about a partnership, right? It's about that hand in hand teamwork. And when we look at it in that situation, when we come to that understanding, you might have been attracted to the person. You might have had some feelings, and then you say, hey, I want to have this person around more often. I like them in my space. But then there's these other things that fall in line with that, such as the assistance and the helping and the paying of bills and things. With that comes those different challenges too, that the person is around more often. You're having to put up with maybe their messiness, or they don't do the dishes, or the things they don't do. And these causes fights and discord and disagreements. Where if the situation was a love foundation, where it was based on love, you would have taken more time, more care to get to know the person, not because you're being patient, but because when you love something, you want to know everything about it, right? So if you find something you love, like say you love art or you love music, maybe when you were a young person, you found something that you just latched onto. It was your first time experiencing that, and you loved it, and you just stayed on it and kept driving towards that thing. You read every book about music. You got every CD you could get. You got every record you can listen to, and you just immersed yourself in it because it made you feel so good. You loved it. And a lot of times that's not how we develop relationships at all. We develop relationships based on convenience, based on the fact that maybe you have been lonely, or you're tired of being in one relationship into the next, it doesn't work out, and the dating scene, or you're tired of whatever that thing is, you're tired of handling life on your own, you want a help, you want some help, you want a helpmate, you want a partner in life. And so then we find that we just start to settle for situations that have nothing to do with love. They're just situations that satisfy a need or a burden that we have, and it seemingly alleviates those burdens. And so we enter into those situations and we find 4 years go by, 7 years, and 10 years go by. There was a thing that when I was a young person, I don't know if they still do that in some places, but there was a thing called common law husband and wife, where the state would say, you guys been together so long, you guys are technically kind of married, which is kind of silly to me. But I guess in that time frame, you might have accumulated life and built the life together. And then when you split, you say, hey, I helped you buy this house, helped you buy this business. And it made sense that as you split, things would be divided evenly. See, if love was really present in that, though, division wouldn't even be a factor in that. Nobody would be dividing anything because, see, what I've learned is that love never fails. Love conquers all, right? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't brag. It doesn't boast. It's not self-seeking. It keeps no records of wrongs. It's always forgiving. Like, if love is present in your relationship, then there's nothing that you're going to go through that you can't resolve it. You can't find a solution to it. There's nothing that's going to come up no matter what, because the first thing is love is patient. So even when you get stressed out, you regroup and you humble yourself and you say, let me be patient with my mate, my spouse, my roommate, whatever that is, and let me deal with that. And we've all had to be in that situation because we all have cousins or brothers or sisters or stepbrothers and foster parents or whoever we have that we've had in our life that we've had to, you know, had an impact from them being in our life negatively sometimes, and we've had to get over it and still maintain relationship with them, still care about them, love them, forgive them, and so on and forth. And so it's not impossible for us to do those things. It's just if we choose to do those things, but we usually don't choose those because love is absent. And a lot of times love is absent because what we're looking for isn't really love at all. We're looking for substitutions. We're looking for things that just fit a niche, fill a hole, right? Fill a hole. We're looking to fill a hole or a hole to be filled. And that's never going to work in a long-term situation. So, listening to that bit of an announcement where he talked about, women shacking up with men, and I call it shacking up, but where they cohabitated and how men felt differently and how women felt differently. That I thought that was very intriguing. And another thing I wanted to talk about as far as what love has to do with it is a lot of things that we do in life that we say, I do this because I love it. I love working in the yard, for example. I love, building things with my hand. Those things, I can see somebody saying, I love that. It fulfills something in them. It draws something out of them. It constantly is reigniting them, changing them over, creating something new in them. Love creates, right? Hate destroys. These are two opposite polar opposites on the scale. Whenever somebody says, I hate this thing, well, they really want to see it come to an end. They want it to be finished. They want it to destroy it. When somebody says, I love this thing, they wish that it would never end. It would last forever. And they want to keep continually feeding that and renewing that and so on and forth. And I got somebody that joined them, but I don't see their camera feed. I've been kind of waiting for their camera to come on. So dude stuff, if you're trying to join in, I don't see your camera. Once I do, I'll bring you into the conversation. But yeah, definitely. I just want to, so I was talking about how, knowing the difference between the things that you really can say you love. We might not feel the same way as we do about building something with our hands or tending the yard as we feel about our spouse. And when you think about that, you look at those things, you say, wow, how can you love working on your car or fixing your car up or, whatever that thing is, your job, more than you love your wife or your husband or your children? We often do those things because we love the feeling we get from the thing that's providing that satisfaction. So with that said, my challenging question to you is, are we really loving that thing? Are we loving the experience it gives us more? Which then, if we're loving that experience and the way it makes us feel, are we really loving ourselves the most? That's the question I have for you. Okay? What's love got to do with it is our topic today. I'm going to let you chew on that question for a second. I'm going to come back. I do have a couple of folks waiting in the green room. I'm going to try to bring them in. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, hopefully I can bring these folks in, and we'll talk more about what's love got to do with it right after this. Welcome back, folks. I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know if there's something wrong with my side or what. People are in, but I can't see their camera, so I'm not gonna bring them in until I see their camera. But, anyways, so our topic today is what's love got to do with it, and we were speaking earlier about things that we love and people that we say we love, but do we really love them or do we really love ourselves? We often find ourselves in relationships that are filling holes, filling gaps, providing something that we feel we lack, whether it's being alone or it's just wanting to have that intimacy, that connection with somebody, and then we find that we attract somebody and they say, hey, I like you, well, I like you too, let's do all these things together, let's move in, let's build a life. But it has nothing to do with love. It has more so to do with the love of what you receive out of that relationship, that satisfaction, the way they make you feel, maybe the way that they take something away, pain or loneliness or fear. And so we stick around. But those things, none of those things are qualities of what love is. And so what we find that is the core of love is not that it's something that you that you gain. It's more so something that you give. It's not received, it's given. True love is not self-seeking. So what that means is this: if you're out looking for love, do you have love to give to somebody? And if you do, if love is in you, then you wouldn't be seeking love, because love is not self-seeking. See, love's not going to go seeking itself, right? It doesn't do that. But if you're saying, I'm not looking for love, I'm just loving people in general, then you'll find that as you give love, it's going to come back to you 30, 60, 100 fold, because you're sowing those seeds. And that's really what it's all about. And so as we're going off looking for mates or looking for friendships or companionship, whatever, instead of going off looking for that end goal, what if we just went for it saying, I just have love to give. I have love that I want to share. And that's my motivation right now. How many times have we in a relationship with that and saying, it's not so much if you love me or not, I'm just looking at who you are as a person. And not that I love you, but I have love that I want to give to you. I want to share love. And that's what we do with our children. That's really kind of the first real true love that I can say I've experienced in my life. When I had first laid on my children, there's nothing they could have done to earn that love. There's nothing they could have done to lose that love. And that love it's just there. And it's something I want to give to them. I want to give them life and food and shelter and clothing and take care of them. And even when they get on my nerves, it's never that I'm out of love with them. My daughter will often, I'll say, hey, don't do that. And just that little bit of a snap at her just breaks her down, right? And I have to, and she's, give me a hug, daddy. She thinks I don't love her anymore. I say, I still love you. I never will stop loving you. I'm just, you can't do the thing you just did. And I have to let you know that. And so, again, there's nothing she did to earn that. And she'll never be able to break that. But we're often in relationships where it's like, you have to earn this. Like, what have you done for me lately? Janet Jackson profile, and all these things, like, can you pay my bills? Whatever, and it's like, that has nothing to do with love. And do stuff, I see you, bro. I want to let you in, but I don't see your camera. So I can't let you in until I see that your camera is working and functioning and so on and forth. I apologize. But I like to thank everybody that's watching right now, and I appreciate it. Today's topic is what's love's got to do with it. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your comments. And we got Big Grilla 66 says, what? I don't know what is, except what's love got to do with it. That's the topic of today's conversation. I would love to hear more questions, feedback, and input if you have any. And so we're talking right now about romance and relationships. We want to hear about what kind of romances have you had, how they ended badly. Maybe you thought this was the one and it didn't work out. Maybe you were married 25 years and it just ended. And you're wondering why that happened and what could have been done. And so we have another comment. It D. Lambright says, I am lonely, but I don't need someone that will use me. I don't trust men, period. That's a tough place to be in. I definitely can understand that. It sounds like there's been chances that you've given folks, and they've taken those chances for granted. And quite often, what I found, not saying this is across the board, but what I found is a lot of men, they kind of come in two lanes. One is that they're coming for somebody to support them. They're still man children, mama's boys or something, and they still want mommy around. Maybe they lost mommy at a young age. Maybe mommy's still alive, but mommy just gave them everything in the world, and they're looking for a woman to be mommy again and to take care of them the same way as mommy did. And they still want to run around and be boys and play and do things. And so they're not really ready to be in a committed relationship or be a man or meet the expectations of a woman who's saying, I want a partner, I want to build a life, I want to do these things. And so they come out as a man child. The other avenue is you have men that they're full of themselves and they just want to treat women as an object. And so they want to have somebody around that can give them physical attention, but they don't need anything else. They're so used to being alone. Maybe they were alone as a child. Maybe they were single, what do you call it? Only children or whatever. So they developed this only child syndrome where they're like, I'm better off alone, but yet I still have these animalistic desires that I need to fuel. And so that's why they hook up with women, is to have somebody that they can release that, expression towards, or they, come as man children. Then there's another lane of men that are true men. They come along and they say, hey, I want a partner. I want to build you up. I want to take care of my family. I want to work hard. That's a rare breed a lot of times. Because a lot of times, again, they're coming from men who are the same way, who Papa was a Rolling Stone and, whatever else. And that leaves women broken. I want to share something really key with you right here. And I think this is really important. If you don't get anything else from anything I've ever said before, I hope that you get this. Teach it to your neighbors, your friends, your kids. And here's the thing, right? So I believe in the Bible. I believe in those scriptures. I want to say believe, but that's kind of really not even it. Like, I understand those words. I understand the scripture. I understand what it's trying to provoke in the person. And those educational pieces that are in there is education you can pull out of every book. I think out of the Quran, there's educational pieces. The teachings of Buddha is educational teachings. Dalai Lama, Gandhi, these guys have some wisdom. There's something in there that can teach you good, sound wisdom. So hear me in this, right? But one teaching that I found in the scriptures is this. It says that a man will leave his mother and father to join with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And that's them being married, and they sustain that for life. Okay, so just follow me for a second, and pardon me if this is too biblical for you watching, but just hear me out for 1 second. So what's supposed to happen is this. So the man in that time, he would go to the father. He would say, hey, do you have a daughter to give away? And the father would say, yeah, here's my daughters. Usually the older one would go first. I know that's barbaric and it sounds crazy in this day and age, but this is what would happen. And the guy would say, okay, I'm going to say, is this enough to show that I can take care of your daughter? I'm going to treat her right. And I'm going to, give her what she needs in life. And here's something for all the years you've invested in raising her to be a good wife and mother. And so he would give the father and the family as a whole, cattle and sheep, donkeys, gold, jewelry, trinkets, you name it. And a great example of that is the story of Abraham's son, Isaac, where they sent a guy to go get him a wife, and he brought camels full of jewels and trinkets to go and say, here's what I'm going to give to your family. But so that your daughter's going away in safe hands. We kind of do that same thing today, right? So a guy will be introduced to the family, and he wants to put his best foot forward. Dad's like, where do you work? What kind of education do you have? What kind of car do you drive? You got a savings? You bought a house? He wants to run down and know you're going to take care of my daughter. And so the guy presents all his gifts before the father, and the father says, okay, I'll give my daughter away. We still do that. It's very important for the father to give the bride away at the wedding. Same tradition, right? But what happens is this. So when the woman would go get married, that night they would consummate the marriage, and they would have relations. And in that time of relations, the man would check, or actually the man didn't. After it was done, a maid would come in, a servant would come in and check the bed to see if blood had been on the bed, because she should have had her she should have loosed blood as the first time she had sex to prove that she was a virgin. If there wasn't there, that the husband could say, give me all my stuff back and I'll give you back your daughter. She was not a virgin. You promised me a virgin and she wasn't. So this is the way that it was back then, right? Now here's some of the key pieces. So if you look at God and all the times that there was a covenant in the Old Testament, even the New Testament, the first one was Abraham. Actually, first one was with Adam and Eve, right? So Adam killed Cain. Cain killed Abel. There was blood that was shed, and then God established a covenant with Cain that he wouldn't kill him. Abraham had to kill these doves and all these different things, and it says the Spirit of God walked through those with the flame, and he walked through that blood, and that blood that was shed from those animals created a covenant, right? And then obviously we keep going through, we see that they had to kill goats and all these things, and those were covenants that were established. And then later on, the last one really was Jesus Christ dying on the cross, beaten and bloody, and that established the New Testament, the new covenant that we know today, all by blood. Well, this marriage ceremony, which kind of ties in because the scriptures say that Jesus is supposed to take the church as his bride, and he paid the price through his blood covenant that he shed. It symbols the woman who shed her blood on the night of her, consummation of her marriage. She bleeds on the mattress, and that establishes a blood covenant with that man for life. Think about this. This is the way that it's designed, as our human bodies are designed. A woman sheds blood when she breaks her virginity. She establishes a covenant with that person who takes that virginity. It's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. So then they're teenagers and they're just experimenting, and she bleeds and she thinks, oh, well, now I'm a virgin. He's like, oh, I've had sex too. And they think they go on to live lives. But what happens is they go off and they meet other people, and now there's something that's missing in that relationship. Maybe she's remembering that first love that took her virginity. Maybe she's comparing that relationship to this relationship, and then the next one to that relationship. And it's this long line of brokenness that happens. And we can't figure out why we get in these relationships and we're unhappy, why things don't work out. And it's because most men have already taken somebody's virginity way back in high school nowadays, and there's a covenant there. Or the woman lost her virginity way back then, and there's a covenant there, and she doesn't know it. And so we find that these relationships are broken, and they're not working out, and we find that we end up lonely, and we're unhappy, and we don't trust men, and we don't trust women. And it all comes back down to, was there love there? Was love present? What does love got to do with it? And that's our question for today. I'm going to bring some folks in. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll be back. And we got 5 guys, Fame portion coming to you live. We'll be right back, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Let everybody know the Current Conversation is the show. Welcome back, and thank you for watching. If you just tuned in, this is the Current Conversation, and today's topic is what's love got to do with it. I'm going to bring some folks in that's been waiting in the green room, and we're going to open it up to the floor. If you want to join us today, you can check out in the comments. We've placed the link to join in. I'm going to post that one more time here just so it's fresh in the chat. If you want to join, just click that link, and you can join right into the feed, add your feedback, your questions, and anything that you'd like to say. And I'm going to bring in some of these folks that's in the background. This is 5 Five, welcome to the show. Five, are you there? It looks like Five froze right when we clicked him in there. We got Dude Stuff that's been waiting patiently. I'm gonna try to bring Dude Stuff in. Maybe their camera is just down and they just want to talk. So let's try that.
Dude, you can talk in there. Go ahead and talk.
Welcome to the show.
You guys.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello, ladies. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great.
Welcome to the show. Can I get your names and where you're calling from?
I'm Amanda.
I'm Sharon.
Hi, welcome to the show. Where you guys calling from?
Richmond, Virginia. West End.
Richmond, West End. Okay.
Westies.
So welcome to the show. What comments would you like to share? Do you have any feedback or any questions you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I do. I feel like a lot of men out there, they play with a girl's emotions a lot of times. They want a good woman, but then once they get a good woman, they take it for granted and they start like doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And because she loves them, loves him, they just think that she's going to stick around forever. And they keep on and keep on and keep on. And even if they know her past, like she's been through a lot already, they shouldn't hurt her anymore. And they still do. They do it anyways. And the woman usually forgives and forgives and forgives. And it just becomes very toxic. And I don't understand why a man, knowing her past, knowing she's been hurt, knowing she's been through everything she's been through, would take her love like that for granted and do the things that she's already been put through again. It just doesn't make any sense. They ask for a good woman, then they get a good woman, and then they do that to her. So then it just becomes a toxic cycle because then she gets fed up, then she starts doing her own thing, and then he gets angry at her for her being angry at him, and it just becomes toxic. And I feel like a man, if he wants a good woman, he asks for a good woman. He asks for her trust. She gives it to him. And then he just throws it down the drain and repeats everything she's already been through. And I just want to know why. Why are men like that?
You know, I absolutely can relate to that. I know I've even been in that situation myself in my younger days. I can just admit that I didn't really see the value of women as I do now. And for my culture, you know, it was the thing of we all wanted to be players. We all wanted to be, you know, guys that, you know, could get every girl. Why? I don't know why that was the thing. It was the cool thing to do. And we spent so much time investing in that. We would work hard to get money to just buy flashy things and flashy clothes so we could stand out like peacocks and attract the girl. But then we got the girl and we never really appreciated them. And they were quick to say, you know, go away and we'll find another one. And we never thought about the trail of brokenness we were leaving behind us. Yeah. And I think that for me, you know, I didn't see a hardworking man that respected my mom, that took care of our family, that showed me step by step, you know, hey, this is a tough situation that we're facing, but I'm going to stick with your mom through this. This is what you do. Or, you know, whatever those types of beats were to hit. And I think a lot of men they don't see that either. You know, that, you know, there's a lot of homes where dad's in the streets, dad's with another family, dad's in jail, dad is wherever. And so when you don't have that presence there, it's hard for you to understand how the man is supposed to treat the woman. That's one angle of it. I think the other angle of it, though, is that we grow up in a society where a lot of stuff that we do is just, it's about ourselves. We always are looking for our own happiness. We're always looking for self-gratification. So I want a good job that pays me a lot of money, but I don't want to work hard. So what can I do? And then we find ourselves in the middle ground, and we're okay with being middle management somewhere, or, you know, we run the neighborhood Walmart. Sorry, you guys came in with your mics on. So but when you find that, you know, that's breeding, like you said, it's chaos. It's just a brewing ground of unhappiness. So the man is unhappy with his work life, his financial life, now that he's wasted his 20s. And that's what I think it was Calvin Waters said. I'll try to bring that back up. He says, you know, I believe that when we're young, in our 20s or less, or even older, sometimes we don't even know what love really was or what it is. And that's really the challenge. We don't know what love is because we thought we loved things that really didn't have any benefit to us. We loved our cars, we loved our jewelry, we loved our, how many times we can say we met girls.
Yeah,
Material
we love the
things.
material things and not the long-lasting things.
Not the
And
long lasting things.
sometimes we're predestined. We've watched our parents and we were molded by them, so we think that's how it's supposed to go. And I think we need to just focus on being our own individual people and knowing what works for us and in our relationship what works for us.
And another challenge is that we never go into the relationship. And I said this earlier, I don't know if you guys caught this, but so let's say the guy or the girl, any one of them, let's say they say, I love painting, or I love, building things with my hands. I love working construction or whatever. They really love it. They go off to the beach and they take their paint and they paint all day. They love it. And so what happens is that thing, it's not going to love them back for one thing. But what they're really loving is the way that thing makes them feel, right? But then they'll say, because of the way it makes me feel, I'll pour everything into it because I want to just be exposed to that. That's what love makes you do. Love says, I want this to last forever. I want it to keep going. I want it to flourish. I want it to create and be something new. But see, the opposite of love is hate, really. That's it. There's no middle ground. There's no, I just like you. It's either I love you or I hate you, because if it's not love, if it's absent there, it's like a cup full with air. You put water in it, you take the water out, it just fills with air. There's not a secondary or, third thing that could be in there. And so what we do is we go into relationships, and it's not that we say, I love this woman or I love this man and I want to find out everything about you. We say, you know what? You check this box, you check this box. I like this much about you. Cool. Hey, let's go out on another date. You know what? You're attractive enough. Maybe we can lay down together. Oh, that was cool. That was not too bad. Okay. Hey, you've been around a lot. Why don't you start paying some bills around here? You've been sleeping on the couch every day or staying in my bed. And the relationship just progresses, and we never really know why. Before you know it, you guys been together 3 years and you're talking, and your girlfriends are like, are you guys getting married? You're like, well, I don't know. He's never really talked about it, but we're happy. We're good. We get along. And it never was about love. And it never went to the point where I want to just know everything about you, like I would if I love painting or if I love astrology or I love music. You just sit there and listen to records all day and you're like, I just love listening to this type of music. That's the power of love. But that's not really in our relationships. Quite often it's just, again, it's a couple of months of courting and you're good enough and let's keep it moving. And we stop learning about each other. We stop trying to dig deep. Even people who have been married 10, 20 years, that's what happens. They stop learning about each other. They stop engaging and wanting to be engulfed in that other person. And so what's love got to do with it? It has nothing to do with it. We're in situations because it fills a need. We're looking to fill a hole or to get a hole filled. Think about that really carefully. We're looking to get a hole filled or we're looking to fill a hole. And that's what we're looking for. Emotional holes, physical holes, monetary holes, where I can't pay for my house by myself. She moved out, he moved out. How do I take care of my life? I'm looking for somebody to quickly come in and fill that void. But a lot of times it's just the companionship, the conversation, the having somebody around, to knowing that when I go to sleep, somebody's there to make sure the doors are locked. That's a huge comfort, but it has nothing to do with love. It has a lot more to do with fear. I think that's why we get into a lot of relationships, because we're afraid of the alternative of being alone. Or the guy who just came by last week who was a train wreck, definitely don't want to mess with him. This guy's a little better. Let's give him a shot. Same with the girls. And we end up in these. Go ahead. Yep.
So what is love?
Well, the way I understand love to be is that, first of all, the very first thing that love is, the attribute is patient. And that's why a lot of relationships fall short, because we fall out of patience with each other. You did this, you said this, you looked at my best friend the wrong way, and we're not patient with understanding, right? Yep. The next thing that love is kind. And you think about that. How many times you've been in a relationship where kindness just evaporated, where the way you speak to each other is just not kind, the way you interact with each other is no longer kind. It's just gone, but you're still tolerating the relationship because the person's there, they're present, they're a hand to hold, they're a voice to hear. But that doesn't have anything to do with love, right? And if we went down the list, I would say there's a lot more things, but one that's a really key thing about love is that love, it's not self-seeking and it keeps no records of wrongs. And so we got to have a lot of forgiveness when we're dealing with other people, because nobody's perfect. All of us are broken in some kind of way, and all of us make mistakes. And so if we lost patience, that's okay. but let's at least fall back on having enough grace to give the person some leeway and not keep a record of that wrong and say, hey, you fell, but you know what? I fall too. I fell yesterday, so you falling today. It's okay. You made a mistake. You got loud and cursed me out. You know what? I remember when I did that last week and I see how it hurt you. I'm sorry that I did that to you today. And if we can do that with one another, then there's room for us to grow. We're not tearing up the yard every time we get into a fight and then we say, let's replant the seed. Let's try to rewater it. Let's see if something grows. It's never going to grow. It's always going to be a destructive matter. But we never know what love really is.
Growing in love together.
Growing in love together. There you go. That's the thing. Are we growing? And a lot of times we're not. We're not getting to know each other anymore. We're not having the conversations we used to. And even if we're growing older, but we're not growing in love. We're not, and that means we're not growing in patience, in understanding, in losing ourselves and not seeking what's good for us, but seeking what's good for the other person. If your mate was only looking out for your benefit every day, they woke up and said, "Are you hungry? Do you need anything? I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna take care of that." What would you need to do? And you would feel good about that relationship because you know that person's got your back. Imagine if you did the same thing for them and they could feel confident in the relationship, knowing you got their back and they know somebody really, truly cares for them.
God.
Right? And that's what a relationship should be, a partnership. And it should be based on mutual love, not self-seeking, but seeking the attention of the other person and wanting to go all in.
I like
I'm going to bring, yep. I'm going to bring, we got another person in here. We're going to bring Patrick in. I don't know if he has a camera either, but we're going to bring him in. Oh, I can actually find, this is you guys here. Let me bring you guys in. I'm going to take dude stuff off. There we go. Can I hear you now? Let me see if I can hear you guys still. We'll use this mic. Hey, Five, I think your mic is muted. Try to unmute your mic so I can hear you guys on this one. You got it? Yeah, Five. Unmute your mic, Five, on that camera feed so I can see you in here. There you go. Say something, ladies, please.
Hi. Hello.
Yep, I can hear you. All right, great. All right, and we got Patrick Oni on the line too. Patrick, where you guys calling? Where you calling from, sir? Can you hear me? Patrick, are you there? Okay, Patrick, we're not hearing you, so I'm just going to drop you out until you bring back your mic and maybe your camera as well. Thank you for joining us, Patrick. Though we'll keep you here.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Patrick, there you are. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing well. Where you calling in from?
I'm from Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We got Five on there, and as you can see, and these ladies are sharing with us some of their feedback on relationships and why men kind of do the things they do. What's your thoughts on that, Patrick? Why do men kind of just not recognize a good woman? Why are they, find something that the scripture tells us, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Why do we always take that good thing and just treat it like it's not?
Human beings are generally ever evolving entities. Some people grow up, some people don't grow at all, some people grow down, depending on the relationship of personalities. And unfortunately, people who are in God, or we call ourselves Christians, most of us are not really matured enough to know the dimensions of love itself. Most of us are quick to judgment, not patient.
Yes.
Like you said, love is patient, and so on and so forth. And most of us are quick to say, okay, I will not forget because so and so has been done to me. That festers like sore for a long time. And like we are different personalities. Some people are quick to forgive, some people are not.
Yeah.
And that lives with us for a long time.
I agree. I think that what you said was really powerful too. That a lot of folks, men and women, we get stuck in a place where we're just not growing, we're not maturing.
Mm-mm.
And earlier I said that I've found some men. There are some men that are good men. They do come in and they want to take care of the woman. They want to be that strong force in their life. But there's a lot of guys that are still trapped as mama's boys, and they
Yes.
want to have another mama, and they're
Mhm.
just looking for a woman to be mommy and take care of them, and they still want to run exactly, and they still want to just run and do whatever they want to do, but then come home and say, "Hey, mommy, where's dinner? Where's breakfast?" And there's a thing called an Oedipus complex. If you guys ever heard of that, it's where a guy has the thing where he wants to have relations with his mother.
Mm.
And it's kind of crazy when you think about it that these guys are like wanting somebody to be just like a mommy, but then they still want the sexual commitment of that. And a woman
Yes.
says, I don't want to have sex with my son. I don't want a son. I want a man. I want a husband. I want, yes, I want somebody to be there for me
I want a
and to
man. I
take
want a
care and
partner,
walk with me through this
a
thing.
teammate.
Mm.
But they're not maturing. Excuse me. And then we have some women are the same way. They just, they want daddy around and daddy this and daddy take care of me and let me do what I do. And they still want to be pretty and go out and they think about how much attention they can get. And that might leave the man insecure. And then he's
Yes.
feeling some kind of way. I think that if we focus on building each other up, that's really the key. You have to be a team player. If you're building a life, you're building each other, you're building a family, you're building your finances. Everything should be a building, building, building. And that's how we continue to grow is by what we're building. But not just to think about relationships and how they could be, easily broken. I want you to really kind of think about this if you can for a moment, right? So, outside of your relationship, what are some other things that you think you love? Like you can say, okay, forget about my boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. I know I love this thing, right? Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's an interest, maybe it's your kids. How do you respond to that thing that you can think of right now differently than what you might your spouse or somebody you call your mate or whatever? Is there a difference in that situation? Is there a disconnect from let me give you the better example. So I'm married. My wife can say, if I ever get into a project, I can spend all my time in the project. And she said, you love your project, your work more than you love me, more than you love your family. Because you're there all day, you're doing that all day. And as soon as you go to sleep, you wake up, you're gone again. And for me, I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to do this. I do love the project, but I also want to earn money so I can provide a good life for my family. But then I realized if my wife was so much valuable to me, why would I spend so much time away? Why wouldn't I be wanting to seek her as much as I seek this thing? Does that make sense? And that's the disconnect, and it makes me say, oh, you know what? Wait, she does need to be first. Let me try to slow down here. But I posed the question to say, what things in your life are that way or might have taken place over your relationship? And what are some of those things? And let's talk about that first. Do you guys have any feedback on that? What about you, Patrick? No? Ladies, do you have anything towards that? Can you think of a time where you had something that was more important in your relationship? Maybe it's hanging out with the girls, maybe it was your job or
My job. I'm a nurse, and um, I I love to care for people, so I just was working on kind of like messed up my relationship or whatnot. But I mean, we were able to work through our problems. But I just I love doing nursing, so I had to reevaluate my life, and I prayed to God and stuff, and I was able to fix it. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I mean, me, I put him first a lot. I mean, my children, of course, come first, but
yeah.
I centered a lot around him until I felt taken for granted. I felt like he knew he could just get over on me. He could do whatever, and I would still be there waiting for him and his attention, his love, and his affection. So I put him and my children first, and I put me last, and I started to crack. So now I'm taking time out to water my well and do what's right for me right now, and he has to be understanding about that.
You know what you guys said. That's really good stuff, and thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of folks have been in that situation, right? Especially a lot of women. I don't know why that's a thing for women, but I see a lot of women who have had to put up with so much stuff. I remember being younger, and I would see my friends just treat their girls terribly, and the girls stick around. And I would think to myself, that girl must really love him. I want somebody to love me like that. But see, I was kind of, I mean, I did kind of like to get the girls and things, but when I had a girlfriend, if I said you're my girlfriend, you made it to that level, I did try to treat you as best as I can. And I don't know if the girls were just afraid that, well, he's too good to be true. I better leave before he leaves me or something. Or maybe they heard about my reputation and they were insecure. They never really lasted, right? They didn't. But I got friends, they cheat on their girlfriends. Tell the girl they cheated. The girl's still sticking around. I couldn't believe it. Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah,
And it's
stuff you never
almost like
thought you would put
the
up with.
yeah, it's almost like the women say, well, he's just testing me, or I got to show him I'm not going to leave, or I got to make him feel confident, or maybe
It
this
turns
is
into a
something I don't know.
game.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in a woman's mind. I don't understand that either. But
Well, also some women they just feel like that they really maybe have been hurt in the past, so they felt like that they. I know somebody that's in that situation, and they said that they're just really in love with that person, and that they can't just fall out of love easily. So that's why they stay with that person. So
that's a great. That's
Yeah,
no. That's
that
really.
that
Go ahead,
makes
Patrick.
more sense than anything else I can think of.
Yeah, you know what? And Patrick, you jumping in and show me. Five, can you boost your mic a little bit? It's a little low. I didn't know how low you guys were until Patrick came in, and you guys are kind of low. But what you girls said is really great. Just really quickly, I want to touch on that. That the girl said that she loved him so much, right? And really, what was there to love if the guy was being mean to you, if he wasn't treating you right, if he wasn't giving you the respect that you deserve, if he wasn't doing these things? And if that's the case, what is love in that situation? Because what I know of love is that, you know, yeah, you guys were loving that person, you were forgiving them, you were not keeping records of their wrongs, but at the same time, you weren't loving yourself enough to say, hey, I have value, I have worth. This person doesn't recognize who I am. This person has to get themselves together, and they're not willing to do that. And they're going to take me down this rabbit hole. They're going to hurt me and leave me scarred. So the next guy that comes along, I'm going to not trust him, and I'm going to be even more broken, and I'm going to be even more maybe deficient where I need more love and attention because I didn't get it here, or I need this reassurance. And this guy did it, but he didn't know he was doing that. He's just being himself. And see, that's the
Well,
thing that I want to try to talk about really quickly is that this it's not a man against the woman, or if the man is broken or the woman is broken. I think it's collectively our consciousness and our thoughts together. Our community is broken, and the women aren't knowing. Hey, this is what you should require of a man. And maybe she starts to think, well, I should require. He better pay my bills. He better lay it down in the bedroom. He better do these things, right? And they have this list of things they require from a man, but none of those things really equate to the man loving you. Is he going to comfort you? Is he going to talk to you? Is he going to nurture you? Is he going to feed your intellect as well as your body and your heart?
you know, that's all very good too. But I also think that a lot of people put on these masks in the beginning. They think, oh, this is what this person wants, so let me be it. But they can't keep it up. They can't keep the, the facade up. So then the mask is hot and it falls off because they can't keep it up. And if everybody would just be honest in the beginning and lay their cards out, then nothing would pop up and blindside the other person. They would all know it all right away and be able to take it or leave it. And I think people should just be honest with each other in the beginning. And then they wouldn't waste each other's time. They could spare each other the pain, the time and commitment put into it, the blood, sweat, and tears. Like they were just honest in the beginning. Be real, be who you are, show that person. Because in the end, if you don't, you're just going to waste each other's time and it's just going to be more pain and time just wasted.
I definitely say I can agree with that. Um, Patrick, do you have anything you want to add?
Not really.
Okay. Um, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of the show, but I love what we talked about today, and I thank you, ladies, for sharing so much. You guys really helped the show out, and I love what your feedback was. Thank you so much for that. Thank you guys for the people who made comments. Before we do wind down, we have a couple more minutes left. I want to just share this one thing, and what we talked about before you guys joined in was how in the scriptures it talks about God formed all these different covenants, and they were all through blood. Right? And you might have seen that a little bit before I brought you guys in. And then there's a covenant where a man lays down with the woman, and she'll bleed on the mattress when she's a virgin. The first time she has sex, most of the time, there's going to be some blood there. And that didn't have to be in our design as human beings. We didn't have to have that thing happen, but it's there for a reason. And I believe it's there because God says, I made it there so that when that act happens, it forms a covenant between that man and that woman. That blood that's shed, it's eternal. And so we take it so for granted, and we're so quick to try to jump in and try to experience sex, both men and women, and then we part our ways, and not knowing that back in high school you had sex, but now that you got a covenant with Joey for life, and he's gone off and had another family, but there's still something inside of us that remembers that. There's still that connection that's going to form a wedge where we might compare to our first love or compare to other relationships. And we'll compare the men in our life to men that we dated before and women in our life, good or bad. And we keep putting that thing there. But if we said, hey, if the person I find myself that I know that I want to be with them and I want to express my love for them sexually, and I have an awareness of this covenant that I'm going to make when that happens, you take it more seriously. You wait a little longer when we're not 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, when we're more mature in our decisions, that we can have a more understanding of what love is, what's expected of me in love, what's expected of this other person in love. If we come into that arrangement, and it's not so much to start to fill voids, those sexual voids are there, but they really intensify once you first have sex. It's like once you taste it, now you want it. And now you constantly want to have that void filled, or you want to make that connection, or you feel like if this person really loves me, then, this is how we should express it. But if we just hold back on that a little while longer, wait until we have that maturity of understanding what love is and what those commitments are, I think that it's going to help us develop as people and as a character, male and female alike. And so relationships will always they'll be at a different level. They won't be so much of sharing everything about ourselves. Relationships now are so quick to say, I met you, I like you, let's have sexual relationships. And then we're quick to say, let's start sharing houses, let's start sharing bank information, let's start sharing all these things. And we're so quick to share ourselves. We're so quick to expose ourselves and be open and vulnerable that when it doesn't work, it is truly a train wreck. We crash and burn, and it's such a devastation. It's hard to rebuild after that. But if we took steps back and says, hey, wait a second, I like you, but let's just hold hands for a while. I like you. Let's talk, and let's get to a place where I see that every time I come around you, you just can't get enough of me. You don't, not physically, but you just want to know everything about me. You want to know what my mama did and my daddy did and what happened there. And even when I think you know everything about me, you find something that I never knew about myself. You help me discover new things about me. If you guys have that type of relationship, that's a partnership. That's the two mending together. That's the two already starting to become one flesh. So the intimacy of the sexual intimacy doesn't really change much. Everything is already built there in the foundation. But because we're so quick and we take sex for granted, it's such a throwaway. We do it so easily. We're so quick to do that. And that just leaves us open, and where we say, let's now open ourselves up to, again, sharing houses and sharing things. We're so quick to open ourselves up. It's no wonder why we're so critically wounded when things don't work out. And since that becomes our cycle, where I dated this person and now I don't, and date this person, it doesn't work out, it's not really unexpected when it comes to a place of let's terminate this relationship. It's hard, nonetheless, it's hard. But when it does happen, you're like, well, I've terminated relationships before. It's no big deal, and we can just move on. And that's where we got to stop too. Is just saying that this person, this time we've invested, this life we've created, these stories in each one of our pages of our books has been written down. If somebody reads that pages, they're going to see your name next to mine on all these pages of all these things we did. How can we just get that away so quickly? really quickly, I know a guy, he was married 12, 15 years. I can't remember how many years, but they got a divorce. And a week after his divorce, he said, I don't have no reason to talk to this person anymore. And they have 3 or 4 kids together. And I said, you can't throw away 12 years in 2 weeks. It doesn't work that way. But we think that we can just move on with our lives and do something else. And even the people you've dated, you still might hear about what they're doing or whatever, or you might have a memory of them. Not that you want to, but it just pops in your head. And you think about that person, maybe the good you did, maybe the wrong you've done, and they're part of your life and your story. And we need to understand that and value the next time we get into a relationship, we need to say, I know this is going to be this way. I'm going to think about you if we separate or whatever. I'm going to have memories and you're going to be in my story. So I want to take my time and make sure this is right. I want to exercise the things that I know love to be. I want to make sure that we both can be patient. If he's not patient with you, ladies, don't work with him. If he's keeping records of wrong, says, hey, you remember that day you stood me up and didn't show up on time? No. If he's not kind, don't waste your time, because trying to train somebody, you know, if he's 19 or 20, he can still be trained. But if they're past 25, don't try to train them. They ain't gonna be trained.
No, don't try to finish raising them.
Yes, indeed. Before we leave, I want you guys to give me anything else that you guys want to share, anything you want to leave with our viewers before we pack out. And thank you guys so much again for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
Absolutely. Patrick, you have anything you want to say to the viewers before we sign off?
No, there's nothing else I have to say. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Everybody watching, thank you guys for watching. We will be back here next Thursday at 8 o'clock. And next week, we're going to have an extra special guest, so tune in. You're all welcome to join us again. And you're all welcome to join us in the conversation. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun too. Thank you guys for watching. And this is the Current Conversation. Share it out to your friends.
All right, Judge.
Take care.
We'll talk.